Welcome to Your Childhood is Over. No, it's not. Where we discuss how people from a toxic or abusive childhood are likely to invite abuse back into their adult lives through a sinister hidden force called repetition compulsion. My name is Annette Hunter. I'm a medical doctor. These videos are my opinion based on my personal experience of being under the control of this force for many years. This channel is not a substitute for therapy. If you feel emotionally overwhelmed or you develop any thoughts of self-harm, please consult a qualified therapist or your doctor immediately. Thank you. Hello, welcome back. Today we are dealing with Tales of Repetition Compulsion number 6, or Torque 6 as I call them. We meet Jamie, who is a successful man on the outside, yet Jamie is terrified of making the smallest of mistakes. Why is he like this? Because deep inside, Jamie carries a painful belief. And that belief is, I must be perfect or nobody will love me. This shapes everything he does at work. And today, we'll uncover how that belief was planted in his childhood and how he can break free. So what is repetition compulsion? It's the subconscious process whereby we replay, I can't pronounce my R's, we replay in our adult life the toxic patterns that we learned in our childhood. The word subconscious means we are unaware that we are replaying these toxic patterns that we learned in our childhood. So what are the 6 bad messages? In my opinion, a child who comes from a toxic or abusive childhood will absorb what I have named the 6 bad messages into their growing minds. And these 6 bad messages are negative beliefs about ourselves that form from the way we are abused in our childhoods. We carry these 6 bad messages into our adult lives, and they become the emotional blueprint of how we relate to the world. If a person treats you in an abusive way, you end up feeding yourself the 6 bad messages. Again, this is all done in our subconscious mind. We're not even aware we're doing this. So in today's Tales of Repetition Compulsion number 6, or Torque 6, the life category is work, the character is Jamie, and the bad message is, you must be perfect or nobody will love you. So let's look at how Jamie fares in his job, carrying this bad message that he must be perfect or nobody will love him. Just for a moment, can I divert a second about myself? Let me explain how I struggled with this particular bad message, whereby you must be perfect or no one will love you. Standards were very high in my childhood environment. I grew up thinking I had to be perfect or nobody would even like me, never mind love me. I remember putting so much pressure on myself as a child to always be the best at everything. And then I felt such a failure at school because I was very bad at maths and I couldn't spell. So I never did well in these exams, and I felt I was a failure and I felt I wasn't perfect. But in the subjects I did do well in, even if I got 100% in those exams, I still didn't feel that I was perfect. So if you look at it, when I did badly in an exam, I felt I wasn't perfect. Yet when I did well in an exam, I still felt I wasn't perfect. So this means that no matter how hard I tried and how hard I worked, I was never going to feel I was perfect. And if I was never going to feel I was perfect, then I was never going to believe that anybody liked me or loved me. I went into my adult years carrying this bad message. So in order to try and guarantee that I might be seen as perfect, I pushed myself in my career to get more and more and more qualifications. I kept taking more exams, thinking if I had more qualifications, then someday or somebody would feel I was perfect, and then people would love me. But that day of thinking I was perfect never came, and it was never going to come. And all I did along the way was exhaust myself studying for too many exams. It was only when I eventually learned about repetition compulsion, I realised that I'd always been pushing myself to try and achieve perfection in my life because I felt nobody would love me unless I was perfect. I finally learned to let go of this bad message when I learned to break free from repetition compulsion. And the relief I feel nowadays is amazing. I don't put pressure on myself anymore to try and be perfect. I accept that I will never be perfect and I'm okay as I am. And I can be happy with myself in whatever I try and do so long as I know I did my best effort. I accept finally that people will like me and will love me even though I am far from perfect. I know this probably sounds really obvious to some people, but it's not obvious to someone like, say, me, or maybe yourself, who grew up convinced they must be perfect or nobody will love them. Letting go of this bad message changed my life so much for the better. And this is what I want to happen for you as you get to know my channel. I suppose I would say if I can break free from repeating the abuse I experienced as a child, well, so can you. And I want you to break free from being under the control of repetition compulsion. And I want you to break free from carrying around those horrible, bad messages that you took from your childhood. I want you to see that there is a much better way to live, where you are not inviting the abuse you suffered in your childhood back into your adult life. So let's get back to Jamie now. We were looking at Jamie in the workplace. How did Jamie learn the bad message that he had to be perfect or nobody would love him? Where did he get that message and how? Well, it's quite simple. Jamie grew up in a family where excellence wasn't praised. It was expected. A score of 98%, say, led to the question, what happened to the other 2%? Yeah? Mistakes were not a part of learning. They were a threat to getting love from his parents. His parents believed they were preparing him for success, but the emotional lesson he absorbed was this: mistakes equal rejection. Achievement equals acceptance and approval, and is totally conditional on Jamie doing well in school and sports. As a result, Jamie learned to equate perfection with love. If he did well, he felt love from his parents. If he didn't do well, he felt their rejection. The family home wasn't dangerous in a physical way, but it was very dangerous emotionally. Love was not freely available. It had to be earned through achievements in school and sports. So as a child, Jamie learned what he lived. So as an adult, Jamie carried this bad message into his adult life. He still lived by the invisible rule that unless he was perfect, nobody would love him. So let's go forward and look at Jamie in the workplace. So he's in his 30s now, and he's still carrying the bad message that he must be perfect or nobody will love him. So Jamie works long hours. He is terrified of letting anyone down. He double checks everything. He even takes work home every evening, every night, and at every weekend, because he feels he needs to check everything he does over and over again to make sure it's perfect. At work, if a colleague ever gives him feedback, unless it is over the top, full of praise, Jamie reads this as rejection. Jamie's colleagues admire how hard he works, but they don't see how he suffers with terrible anxiety and fear of failure and rejection. They don't see that. They think Jamie is driven by ambition. They can't see that he's driven by utter fear of failure and not being perfect. So since Jamie carries the bad message, you must be perfect or nobody will love you, in his subconscious mind, Jamie himself is not even aware of how his adult workplace has become a replica of his childhood environment. So, for instance, his manager becomes the critical parent. Targets or goals become school grades, and approval is still totally conditional on him trying to achieve perfection. Why does this happen? Jamie isn't choosing this consciously. I'll go back to the kernel of it all. Children learn what they live. And as a child, Jamie learned that he had to be perfect or nobody would love him. This was Jamie's normal. This is what he became familiar with. So as we grow up, we are programmed to gravitate towards what feels normal for us and what feels familiar for us. And this programming is all subconscious. We don't even know it's happening. So Jamie is under the control of this programming, and therefore he will gravitate towards people and situations that are familiar to him. He will end up in a work environment where he feels he must be perfect or nobody will like him, will not love him, maybe but like him. This programming or force, because it is a force, to recreate the toxic situation we experienced as a child is called repetition compulsion. So Jamie will gravitate towards familiar emotional territory, even when it hurts, even when it's painful. The brain returns to what it knows because what is familiar feels safe, even when that familiar is painful and is actually harming us. So it was inevitable that Jamie would replay this pattern at work because, as I said before, that's what he learned as a child, and children learn what they live. Jamie carries the bad message that unless he is perfect, nobody will love him because this is what he learned as a child. This bad message sits in his subconscious mind, telling him non-stop, all the time, that nobody will love him unless he is perfect. That's a really high standard to live up to, isn't it? It's impossible to achieve. And until Jamie becomes aware that this message is controlling him, he will continue to chase perfection to earn love and to earn belonging. The answer is not working harder. It's not trying to be better. It's not definitely trying to be perfect. The answer is breaking free from repeating this bad message to himself. The answer is breaking free from repeating the abuse he experienced in his childhood. The answer is breaking free from repetition compulsion. And I want to tell you, there is so much hope, tons of hope. And that's why I set up this channel, because I know people can break free from repetition compulsion. I'm one of them. And it's a fantastic way to start your life, because you really are only starting your life when you break free. So healing from repetition compulsion starts with awareness. Then we go on to trusting our instincts. And finally, we look at flipping the bad messages we absorbed in our childhood. So I am now going to hand you over to the three wise tales, Petal, Blossie and Dottie. And they will happily tell you in 3 simple steps how to break free from being under the control of the toxic, sinister, hidden force called repetition compulsion. So let me introduce you to the 3 wise tales. Thank you for listening.
Hello, I'm Petal and I'm the first of the 3 wise tales. The first step to breaking free from repetition compulsion is awareness. See, you must notice a bad message before you can change it. Jamie believed, I must be perfect or nobody will love me. But that message is not the truth. It's just an old echo from childhood. When you catch the bad message in action, say, that's my repetition compulsion speaking. Awareness breaks the spell. You see, how can you stop doing something that is bad for you if you don't even know you are doing it? And since repetition compulsion is a subconscious process, we don't even know we are under the control of it till someone tells us. And this is where I come in. I am now telling you that you can immediately stop being under the control of repetition compulsion and the 6 bad messages the instant you become aware that you are being controlled. Awareness opens the door to healing and breaking free from your toxic and abusive childhood following you into your adult life. When you are aware that something is controlling you, you can then do something to stop this happening. Now, before I hand you over to Blossie, I want you to be aware of something else really important. You.
Hello, I'm Blossie, and I'm the second of the 3 wise tales, and I am so old now. I suppose that makes me very, very wise. Do you like my white beard? I'm so old, I have a long white beard. Anyway, I am here to tell you that the second step to breaking free from the control of repetition compulsion is trusting your feelings and trusting your instincts. Jamie lost touch with his real feelings, which were fear, pressure, exhaustion, because he was trained not to question anything, and he was trained just to perform and achieve. But as a child, deep down, Jamie felt that it was wrong to judge his worth on his achievements. But Jamie was never allowed to voice his opinion or say how he felt. As a result, Jamie ended up ignoring how he really felt. He ignored his feelings and he ignored his instincts. His instincts were trying to protect him by telling him he didn't need to be perfect all the time, but Jamie was not able to listen to this. As adults from toxic and abusive childhoods, we must learn how to trust our instincts. Only then can we be true to ourselves, and only then can we protect ourselves. Our instincts are there to protect us. They are always right. When we start trusting our instincts, we learn that our worth is never based on performance. We will be able to ignore anyone who gives us this bad message. So trust what you feel. Trust what your instincts tell you, not what the bad message tells you. And lastly, trust that I really, woof, you too.
Hello, I'm Dottie, and I am number 3 of the 3 Wise Tales. I am here to tell you that the third step to breaking free from those bad messages is to flip the bad messages. Jamie learned you must be perfect or nobody will love you. So let's flip it to I am lovable even when I make mistakes, even when I'm not perfect. Because the truth is, humans love humans. We don't love robots. Imperfection is connection. Mistakes help people understand you, and they help people to trust you. Being perfect doesn't bring love, but being real does. And I have one more important thing to tell you. I don't need you to be perfect because I woof you just the way you are.